What's up, guys? We're back with another Star Wars Black Series review, taking a look at a recent exclusive figure that's also part of that sort of literary offshoot, like the comic stuff, the expanded universe stuff. So we're taking a look at the, it says it's Boba Fett. I don't know, you can barely recognize the guy. Boba Fett in disguise from the War of the Bounty Hunters, from the current comics canon when it comes to Star Wars stuff. Now, this guy is, again, part of that literature subline, so he comes in that sort of book-style packaging, which I actually do really like this stuff. It's 100% just cardboard. There's no plastic on this, which we'll get to here in a second, but you've got sort of a comic cover shot of him there on the front, and the whole thing is foil embossed too, which I really like that. You've got the spine that says the name of the figure and a shot of Boba, and then the back you've got a shot of him sort of blasting out, and then you've got even more comic panels on the other spine, sort of what would be the pages to this packaging, and then it's got Velcro to keep it together. You pop it open, and you've got another shot of Boba inside, and then you've got the figure here, and this is the one area where I feel like this definitely needs plastic. I mean, I suppose it's fine from just keeping the figure in there, but this box in particular, I do like this package. This looks really weird to me without plastic there, especially because this was also an exclusive too. So like this was sort of like almost a convention exclusive, or what I believe it should have been, and it still doesn't have plastic. So that's kind of weird to me, but it's probably going to go in the trash anyway. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our black Boba Fett, if that is who this truly is. So this is the War of the Bounty Hunters, the all-black version, the disguise. It's the dumbest disguise. Like, this is just not a good disguise. He painted himself black. But whatever. It does make for a pretty good figure. And I say pretty good because this is... I don't even know. I've lost track how many different times we've gotten this Boba Fett. We got a regular one, which is like one of the oldest figures in the entire line at this point. We got a regular one, we got a San Diego one, we got a prototype one, we got a black one, we got a droids version, we've got a Kenner version, we've got something else out there, prototype, the original and the reissue. So there's all sorts of Boba Fett. You've got an archive version. There's just so many Fetts, and this body is okay. I mean, if you've got the original one, if you've got the prototype, if you've got the droids, you kind of know what to expect here. But we're going to run through articulation, see what he can do. Again, he's one of the older figures in the line, and it's going to be pretty obvious. So his head can look up. He can look down really good. You don't really have a lot of tilt, but there's a little. Full rotation, of course. Arms go out at the shoulders. You got to kind of force them on this figure. Out at the shoulders all the way. And then we'll rotate. You've got a single jointed rotating elbow, but it's just slightly less than 90. And then you've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. They're lateral hinges there. He does have a single torso, so he goes backwards, forwards slightly. Tilt side to side and rotation there. Legs go out a decent bit, but not like he's not going to be doing the splits or anything. Where he really can't do much is kicking forward, and like they've never fixed this as far as I'm aware. These pouches have always been like one of the hardest pieces of this figure, so he can't do a whole lot if you want to kick him forward. You can kick him out to the side a little bit, but like it doesn't go. And they've still never figured a way to make them softer. You kick backwards. We've got a thigh twist up there. We've got double jointed knees, you know, rarity these days. And then we've got our rocker and hinges. Hinge forward is okay. Hinge backward is really good. I mean, he's old Black Series. That's pretty much what it comes down to. He's old Black Series. If you've got one of the however many versions I rattled off a minute ago, you will know exactly what to expect here. But of course, we aren't, and I'm not specifically, buying this figure because of how it moves. I'm well aware of how this thing moves and what it can and can't do at this point. I bought this because I'm an idiot and I just wanted a black Boba Fett. It's really so I can pair it up with the prototype version to have a black and white. I think they'll play off each other really nicely. But despite the fact that I didn't want to buy this figure because it's literally not, it's not even a repaint. It's just a recast. Even though I didn't really want to buy him, at the end of the day, I'm not upset that I did. Like, I really didn't want to have to pay for this figure because it's just a black Boba Fett. But it does work. The only real downside is that, of course, that it's still on this exact body. Of course, I'm not expecting them to retool a Boba Fett for a, you know, limited exclusive. But this body is definitely, you know, showing its age. I still think it looks okay. I mean, it looks all right. Details are great. A lot of them aren't necessarily as easy to notice on this figure. Some stand out more than others, but some just don't. You've got varying levels of black here too, depending on the kind of plastic that's used. Of course, the texture and the overall tone does look a little bit different. He does still retain the soft goods. This is definitely not as good as like the prototype cape. The prototype cape always felt a little bit better. I honestly don't remember what the original one feels like at this point because I swapped it out for a wired one a while back. But this is okay material. It's maybe not the best, but it's certainly not the worst in Black Series. And then it's, you know, it's cinched down into his armor, and then it's done up in this sort of, you know, almost like a tie shape, really. But it's kind of folded over that way, so it'll hang specifically in that fashion, the little half cape thing. So there's not really a lot to talk about with this figure when it comes to looks. It is a mostly unpainted, and I say mostly in the sense that it's almost no paint whatsoever, really. Mostly unpainted black Boba Fett Empire Strikes Back version of the figure. So, you know, again, if you've got one of the million variations on this figure that we've already gotten, you'll know what to expect in terms of what he looks like and what he can do. But, you know, he's black. He looks shadowy and somehow still looks really cool. So he'll go really nicely on your Boba Fett shelf because, of course, we have so many that he can populate an entire shelf. Now, as far as accessories goes, this Boba, I mean, he has normal stuff, but he's also got one specific thing that is pretty cool. It's implemented okay. So to start with, we do get the removable jetpack. I mean, you've seen it before. Sculpt is pretty good on it. Sized well. I think it looks all right. It looks cool in black. You know, it's, of course, lacking in a lot of details. And then we've got his blaster, which is just done up in like a gray, like sort of a flat gray. Nothing too crazy there. No paint on that, of course. Keeping in theme here, no paint. This is no paint Fett. And then we get the staff, the axe thing. And this looks really cool. I mean, I'm happy that he has it. It, of course, ties into the story. It's done up in a similar color to the blaster, and it's kind of rubbery. Like, I'm not worried about it, but it's kind of rubbery. What I don't like is that, you know, this Boba Fett was never meant to hold a melee weapon. He wasn't ever meant to do that. He always just had guns. So, of course, you know, being Black Series, there's no such thing as extra hands. He doesn't have any extra hands, but these are meant for guns, so they're meant for something that tapers backwards into his hand, so this thing does not want to stand upright. It's a minor gripe, I mean, because, you know, you can just sort of wedge it up against him or something and he'll look fine with it, but this kind of thing annoys me at this point with Black Series, where we don't get any extra hands. He gets the same stuff. He doesn't even have two guns, but he has two trigger finger hands and no actual gripping hands because one doesn't happen to already exist. So I do wish, for this being an exclusive, you know, convention-y exclusive, I wish it could have gotten something else, because at the end of the day, I think he would look really cool with this thing just standing upright, and you've got to finagle it more than I want to make it do that, when he could have just had a regular old gripping hand. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with this thing. I have my gripes with it, obviously, but it's an okay figure. It's ultimately, I mean, it's literally nothing more than I think Boba happens to look cool in black, regardless of how ridiculous the disguise aspect of it is. I think he looks cool in black. And despite the fact that this figure is incredibly ancient and just reused to the 10th degree, I still think it looks pretty good. It doesn't move all that great, and it never really has, but I do think it looks pretty solid. And I like the accessories he comes with, if not for the fact that he has a hard time holding that staff upright. The only other thing that I kind of wish they would have done is just to make this thing a little bit more lively, is to splatter him with like the pink blood or whatever he gets to give it a little bit more life, but who knows, maybe one day down the road they'll give us another one. If this guy sold that well, there's no telling what they're going to do with him now. So that's going to do for this look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series War of the Bounty Hunters Boba Fett. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.